Hello, this is Bryant Myers, and welcome to our 7th module, Gravity, the 6th element of health. In this module, I'm really excited. We're going to talk about what gravity is, our gravitational anatomy, and how we can master gravity, which is mainly really mastering movement, posture, and just our overall mobility so we can stay active and healthy into our golden years. What is gravity? So let's take a look at what gravity is. Now, we all kind of have an experiential feel of gravity, especially when you're skydiving, bungee jumping on roller coasters, or just taking a dive off of a diving board. Now, the history of gravity is kind of interesting because humans only recently, in the last 300 years or so, realized what gravity was really all about. Greek philosophers thought that the planets and stars were part of God's realm and followed a natural motion. They did not realize gravity was involved. It wasn't until Isaac Newton that we received an accurate theory for gravity, and as the legend has it, discovered gravity when he saw a falling apple while thinking about the forces of nature. Whatever really happened, Newton realized that some force must be acting on the falling objects like apples, otherwise they would not start moving from rest. Newton called this force gravity and determined that gravitational forces exist between all objects in the universe. And this is what was really a watershed moment, because this is the first law now that's a universal law, not just something that takes place on Earth, but across the entire universe. Newton's law of gravity was a framework for all the laws of nature and lasted 200 years until Einstein's more accurate theory of relativity, and especially general relativity, supplanted Newton's laws. But because Newton's laws describe the everyday world we live in just so well, because planet Earth is in a very flat space-time, and none of us go at speeds anywhere near the speed of light, so Newton's laws are still used in science and engineering as a good approximation because they're much easier to work with. So now that brings us to Albert Einstein, perhaps the greatest physicist the world has ever known. His general theory of relativity is the most accurate theory of gravity that we have up until this day, actually. And according to Einstein, gravity arises from the warping or geometry of space and time. General relativity defines gravity purely as a curvature of space-time, not an action at a distance. And this is a consequence of Einstein's law of relativity, which we won't get into in this video. But basically, the principle of relativity says that all the laws of nature must be the same in every freely moving laboratory, which is a reference frame, everywhere in the universe. So basically, relativity is the law that governs all other laws of physics. Einstein really held to this. He really believed that the laws of physics can't be different in different parts of the universe or different reference frames. He took that all the way to its conclusion with gravity. And gravity was a difficult one because his special relativity dealt with flat space-time. But when he developed his law of gravity, it was some very complicated mathematics and needed the help of some mathematicians at the time. But after 4 grueling years, he came up with his general theory of relativity. It's a very difficult equation, but the gist of it is simple to kind of grasp, and you've probably seen some of the images of how space and time are warped by matter and energy. It's the geometry of space and time being warped by matter and energy that causes gravity. And it's a unified field connecting all things. Understanding gravity as the geometry of space and time is important because now we're going to look at our human body, and how we function in a gravitational field is a result of the geometry of our form. So now that takes us to our gravitational anatomy. The legacy of the Victorian era is a belief that better poise is a result of better posture. You may have been admonished by your parents or teachers to stop slouching, to sit up straight. Looking back, I think that was some good education. Joel Goldthwait and his colleagues at Harvard Medical School back in the early part of the 20th century proposed the therapeutic significance of gravity. The aim of his therapies was to help get patients to sit, stand, and move with their bodies in an appropriate relationship with the vertical, which, of course, is with gravity. What you kind of want to imagine is a plumb bob attached at the point at the top of your head. And the line through your entire body and the spine is your center of gravity, the center of gravity line. So poor posture moves away from the vertical, with the head typically moving forward and the shoulders and back slouching forward. And if you want to see this exaggerated, just look at a lot of elderly people that walk around hunched over with their heads way forward. This leads to not just degeneration in the spine and the vertebrae and your joints, but also it affects all your organs in your body through subluxations, because all the nerves that go through your vertebrae feed all the organs in your body. And if those nerves are pinched, the energy flow is just not going to be there. So standing straight puts us directly in line with the gravitational field of the Earth. After years of treating his patients with chronic problems, Goldthwait at Harvard concluded that many of these problems arise because parts of the body become misaligned with respect to the vertical, and organ functions, as I mentioned, therefore become compromised. He also documented the buildup of calcium deposits around the vertebrae of individuals with chronic arthritis, and he observed these deposits diminish when the individuals acquire a more vertical stance, better posture. His therapeutic approach corrected many painful problems without the use of drugs or surgery. Goldthwait viewed the body from a biomechanical perspective, which is the alignment of parts is essential in reducing wear and tear on the body. Think of the wheels in your car. When they're out of alignment, notice how you get a lot of wear and tear on one wheel, and it prematurely wears. When you get your wheels aligned, then the tires wear more evenly and more slowly. More and more modern chiropractors and body workers are confirming Goldthwait's findings that accumulated trauma can gradually cause the body to depart from the vertical, and departure from the vertical can cause accumulated trauma in the body. Our modern technological and sedentary lifestyle is much to blame for the poor posture that we have. The forward head, the hump back, the back pain and surgeries, neck pain, osteoporosis, arthritis, and so on. But you also have to consider lack of hydration, poor diet, and some other things that I talk about in my other modules. This is why this energy medicine course is very holistic. These all work together. But it's this module on movement and posture that I think is really the key to staying active well into your golden years and beyond. Now, in the module on the Energy Medicine website, you'll see some really great information on what a tensegrity network is. And I think that's important, but I want to get right into strategies and tips that you can implement practically to improve your posture, your spine, your joints, your mobility, so you can just love life and just do the things that you want to do. So let's get right into it.